Have you ever noticed this? When the same item is priced at 3,000 yuan, you'll hesitate for a long time. But if it's written as from 99 yuan per month, it's as if your brain suddenly switches to a different calculator. At 3,000 yuan, you think about your bank balance. You think about this month's rent, utilities, meals, and commute. You think, do I really need this? But at 99 yuan, you think of 2 cups of milk tea, a takeout meal, or a video streaming membership. You may even comfort yourself. It just means eating hot pot 1 less time each month. The problem is, the product hasn't become cheaper. You've simply changed the way you look at the price. What we're breaking down today is not just a simple installment payment feature, but an entire money-making machine. Its power lies not in making things you can't afford become affordable, but in making you numb to the idea that something is expensive. In the past, price was like a wall. When 3,000 yuan was right there in front of you, it hurt when you ran into it. Now the price has been sliced into pieces. It only cuts you a little each month, so you don't feel the pain as much. So the central reversal in this episode is this: monthly payments don't make things cheaper. They make expensive things look inexpensive. What do many people think installment payments are? A convenience. For example, a phone is too expensive, so I split it into 12 payments. Home appliances are too expensive, so I split them into 24 payments. Buying software outright is too expensive, so I get a monthly subscription. A course costs thousands at full price, so I pay a down payment first. My travel budget isn't enough, so I travel now and pay later. It looks like merchants are lowering the barrier, platforms are helping ease your cash flow, and financial institutions are providing a service. On the surface, it is a tool that makes things easier for consumers. But the real business model is not that simple. The real business model is to turn consumers' judgment of the total price into a judgment of the monthly payment, to turn a one-time purchase into long-term cash flow, to turn a product transaction into a financial relationship, and then to stack profits layer by layer through interest, handling fees, late fees, membership renewals, upgrade packages, insurance packages, and service packages. You may be buying a phone, but what the system is really selling you is the feeling of, I can have it right now. You may be buying a washing machine, but what the system is really selling you is the psychological permission of a few dozen yuan per month is nothing. You may be buying a software membership, but what the system is really selling you is the low-resistance subscription mindset of, I'll use it for now. It's not expensive anyway. This is the key design behind monthly payments. It doesn't have to directly convince you that this thing is worth 3,000 yuan. It only needs to convince you that 99 yuan per month isn't expensive. These are 2 completely different judgments. When our brains face a large expense, they naturally activate a defense mechanism. For example, when you see total price, 5,999, you compare, you search, you ask friends, you wait for discounts, you wonder whether the old one can still be used. But if you see only 5 yuan a day, from 199 per month, or 0 yuan for the first month, your brain classifies it as a small everyday expense. It no longer feels like a major purchase, but more like part of the cost of living. This is what's known as the pain of paying. The pain of paying up front is strong because the money leaves you right now, and you can clearly feel the loss. With installments, that pain is stretched out, diluted, and blurred. You're not losing 3,000 yuan today. You're losing a little each month in the future. Psychologically, future money is always worth less than today's money. People instinctively feel, my future self should be able to handle it. And merchants love this sentence most. My future self should be able to handle it. Because once you think that way, the conversion rate goes up. Suppose a phone sells for 4,999 yuan. Some people will think it's too expensive and turn to a lower-end version, or keep using their old phone. But if the most prominent thing on the page isn't 4,999, but 24 interest-free installments from 208 yuan per month, many people's evaluation criteria change. They no longer ask, can I accept 4,999? Instead, they ask, can I accept 208 per month? At that point, the high-end version also starts to seem reasonable. because the low-end version is 170 per month and the high-end version is 208 per month. The difference is only 38 yuan. See? The merchant doesn't need to make you feel that the high-end version is worth 900 yuan more than the low-end version. It only needs to make you feel that an extra 38 yuan per month is no big deal. This is how installments raise the average order value. They change the unit of comparison. In the past, you compared total price differences. Is it worth spending 1,000 yuan more? Now you compare monthly payment differences. Is it worth a few dozen yuan more each month? As long as the total price difference is spread out over a long enough period, any upgrade seems less expensive. Car loans, phone installments, home appliance installments, course installments, medical aesthetics installments. The logic is the same. Originally, you might have only bought the basic model, but within the monthly payment framework, merchants guide you toward the more expensive version. A slightly bigger screen, more storage, more services, a longer warranty, plus screen damage insurance, plus an extended warranty, plus membership benefits. Each item doesn't look expensive on its own, just 10 or dozens of yuan more per month. But stacked together, the total price may already far exceed what you were initially willing to pay. At this point, you think you're making a rational choice. Since I'm already paying in installments, I might as well get the better one. But from the perspective of business design, that is exactly what the system wants you to say. So, where does the money come from? And where does it flow? The simplest setup has three parties: the consumer, the merchant, and the financial institution or platform. The consumer receives the product or service first and pays monthly in the future. The merchant gets paid quickly, or at least confirms the order, increasing both sales and average order value. The financial institution provides funding or payment term services and earns handling fees, interest, service fees, or channel fees from the merchant. The platform makes money by improving conversion rates, extending user retention, and increasing transaction volume. Some installment plans are labeled interest-free, which sounds like the consumer is getting a bargain. But interest-free does not mean free. The money has to come from somewhere. One possibility is that the merchant subsidizes the interest. In other words, the financial institution's money is not being lent for free. The interest just doesn't appear directly on your bill. Instead, the merchant pays part of the cost to close the sale. Why is the merchant willing to do that? Because as long as installments make more people place orders, make you buy a more expensive version, and help inventory turn over faster, that subsidy may be worth it. Another possibility is that the price itself already includes room for it. In other words, the cost of so-called interest-free payments is hidden in the product's pricing and shared by all consumers. You think you haven't paid any interest, but the overall pricing system may already have built in that financial cost. There's also the possibility that the platform doesn't necessarily make money from interest, but from scale and data. When you pay monthly, the platform gains a better understanding of your income, consumption habits, repayment ability, and risk level. Your spending behavior becomes part of your credit profile. It can decide how much credit to give you, what products to recommend, when to push discounts, and when to encourage you to upgrade. Once consumption becomes financialized, it is no longer just consumption. It is also data collection and risk pricing. Now look at monthly memberships. Many software products, video platforms, office tools, and cloud services used to be one-time purchases, but now more and more are becoming subscriptions. You may think monthly memberships exist because they are more flexible. Use them if you want. Stop when you don't. But the real business model is to turn one-time revenue into predictable long-term cash flow. For companies, subscriptions are much more attractive than one-off sales. A one-time purchase is a single transaction. A subscription is an automatic charge every month. As long as you don't cancel, it continues to exist. This is another face of the financialization of everyday consumption. You are not borrowing money to buy something, but you are committing a small portion of your future income in advance. Your phone has a monthly payment, your headphones are on installments, your video platform has a membership, Your music app has a membership. Your cloud storage has a membership. Your office software has a subscription. Your gym membership is an annual card paid monthly. Your food delivery app has a savings card. Your e-commerce platform has a membership. Your game has a monthly pass. Each one is not large, but together, they slowly occupy your cash flow. Why is this system so hard to notice? Because it doesn't push you into a deep pit all at once. It places many small slopes in your life. Each slope is gentle, so you think it's fine, but you keep sliding downward. First, it uses low perception pricing. The monthly amount is so small that it doesn't seem worth thinking about repeatedly. You won't hold a family finance meeting over 18 yuan a month, and you won't seriously review your spending over 25 yuan a month. But over a year, 18 yuan becomes 216 yuan. When more than a dozen subscriptions are stacked together, it becomes thousands. The cleverness of the system lies in splitting a large number that deserves careful decision-making into many small numbers that don't trigger your alertness. Second, it uses default continuation. For many subscriptions and installments, the most important button is not buy, but automatic payment. The easiest decision for people to make is not to keep buying, but to do nothing. As long as you don't cancel, it continues by default. Canceling often takes a few extra clicks, requires finding the entrance, confirming your choice, facing retention prompts, and being reminded that your benefits are about to disappear. You think you have the power to choose, but the system has designed continue paying as the path of least resistance. Third, it uses optimism about the future. The essence of installments is using future income to pay for today's desires. Young people are especially easily attracted by low monthly payments, not only because their income is limited, but also because the future seems full of possibilities. This month is stressful, but next month should be better. I've just started working, but I'll get a raise later. I'll enjoy it first and deal with the rest later. The problem is, the future does not only have to bear this one monthly payment, it also has to bear more surprises, more temptations, and more living costs. When many deal with it later, decisions stack up, the future becomes very heavy. Fourth, it uses identity imagination. Many products don't just sell functions. They sell the idea that I deserve a better life. Flagship phones, smart appliances, premium memberships, professional software, courses, medical aesthetics, travel. All of them tell you, you're not spending money. You're investing in yourself, rewarding yourself, improving efficiency, and upgrading your life. This argument is not necessarily wrong. Some consumption really does have value. But when it is combined with installments, it becomes a powerful psychological push. Since it's for a better version of myself, paying a little more each month seems more reasonable. Fifth, it uses scattered billing. With a one-time purchase, you can see a large chunk disappear from your bank account, and the impact is strong. Monthly payments, however, are hidden across different platforms, different dates, and different payment channels. Today, the video membership is charged. Tomorrow, the cloud storage fee. The day after tomorrow, the phone installment. Next week, a spending installment. And a few days later, a course installment. Each payment is like background noise, making it hard to form an overall picture. Until one month you realize that you haven't really spent much, yet a large portion of your money is already gone. This is why monthly payments increase conversion rates and raise average order value. Conversion rates rise because they lower the barrier to the first payment. You don't need to come up with the full amount immediately. You only need to accept a small commitment. Average order value rises because the upgrade price difference is broken into pieces. More expensive versions, longer services, higher specs, and fuller packages all become just a little more per month. Retention improves because once you enter automatic payment, the friction of leaving is greater than the friction of entering. Profits increase because beyond product margins, there may also be handling fees, interest, late fees, service fees, extended warranties, insurance, and data value. To be clear, this is not to say that all installments and subscriptions are scams. Installments themselves are a tool. For people with stable cash flow and clear plans, interest-free installments may indeed ease pressure. For companies, subscriptions may also provide ongoing service and updates. The problem is not the tool itself, but how the tool changes the way you make judgments. If a tool helps you arrange your cash flow more clearly, it is a tool. If it makes you ignore the total price, underestimate the burden, and keep upgrading, then it becomes a trap. How can ordinary people see through this trap? First, always convert the monthly payment back into the total price. When you see $99 per month, don't first ask whether it's expensive. First, multiply it by the number of periods. How much is it over 12 months? Over 24 months? Over 36 months? Then add handling fees, service fees, insurance fees, and late payment costs. You need to piece the fragmented price back together, because what merchants least want you to look at is often the complete price. Second, distinguish between I can afford it and I can afford the monthly payment. These are two different things. Being able to afford the monthly payment does not mean you can afford the purchase. Being able to afford it means that even if you paid in full today, it would not significantly affect your sense of financial security, or that this expense has a clear place in your annual budget. Monthly payment is only a payment method and should not become the reason to buy. You cannot assume that you can bear the total cost of something simply because it has been split into small amounts. Third, be wary of the sales pitch of just a little more per month. This is how many high average order values are pushed upward. From basic to mid-range, 30 more per month. From mid-range to high-end, another 50 more per month. Add an extended warranty, 15 more per month. Add a membership, 20 more per month. Each step is small, but in the end, you are already far from your original plan. You can ask yourself one question. If all these upgrades required a one-time payment today, would I still buy them? If the answer is no, then what you're buying may not be value, but an impulse packaged by monthly payments. Fourth, audit your subscriptions. List out all automatic payments: video, music, cloud storage, software, memberships, tools, courses, fitness, food delivery, e-commerce. Don't just look at individual amounts. Look at the total monthly amount and the annual total. You'll find that a lot of money wasn't spent by you, it was forgotten by you. What the subscription economy loves most is not people who use a service every day, but people who use it infrequently while continuing to pay. You don't necessarily need to cancel every subscription, but you need to know why each one exists. Fifth, set yourself a future income occupancy rate. In other words, don't let the installments, subscriptions, memberships, and loans you must pay each month expand without limit. Because in essence, they are all occupying your future free cash flow in advance. The most dangerous state for a person is not occasionally buying expensive things, but having half of the month's money already sliced away by automatic payments and monthly installments before the month has even begun. At that point, you may appear to own many things, but in reality, your freedom of choice is shrinking. Sixth, when you see interest-free, still ask where the money comes from. Interest-free does not mean cost-free. It only means the cost may have moved somewhere else. It may be borne by the merchant, hidden in the price, covered by the platform through other revenue, or earned back through late fees, handling fees, and add-on services. Understanding the business model is not about suspecting everything. It is about not being numbed by something that looks free. Seventh, delay important purchases by 24 hours whenever possible. What installments fear most is your calmness, because what they sell is immediate possession, and what they use is your emotional high point. Today, you see the low monthly payment and feel that you can own it right away. But if you look again the next day, your desire may have fallen. Something you truly need will still be needed after 24 hours. An impulse created by packaging will reveal its true form after 24 hours. Behind the monthly payment model for everything, there is actually one common logic. Shrink the price, stretch out the time, automate the payment, turn consumption into cash flow, and turn the consumer from someone who buys once into someone who keeps paying. For merchants, this means more stable revenue. For financial institutions, it means calculable interest and fees. For platforms, it means higher conversion, longer relationships, and more complete data. For consumers, it brings convenience, but also a more hidden burden. In the past, when we bought something, we would ask, "How much is this worth?" Now, more and more often, we are guided to ask, "Can I afford it each month?" The difference between these two questions determines how your spending ceiling is gradually raised. You may not have suddenly become richer, but the things you can buy have suddenly increased. It sounds like a lifestyle upgrade, but in reality, it may just be that your future cash flow has been sliced into more pieces. So the next time you see 0 yuan for the first month, less than a cup of coffee a day, as low as 99 per month, interest-free installments, or enjoy now, pay later, don't rush to think it's a good deal. Stop first. Turn the small number back into a big number. Turn today's impulse back into tomorrow's bill. Turn "I want it" back into "Am I willing to pay the full cost for it?" The most powerful thing about monthly payments is not that they make you unaware you are spending money, but that they make you feel you are not spending much. They don't need to deceive you. They only need to change the angle from which you look at the price. A one-time price makes you face reality. A monthly price makes you face imagination. Reality asks you, "Are you really ready?" Imagination tells you, "It's fine, it's only a little each month." In a commercial society, good design makes transactions smoother, and there is nothing wrong with that in itself. But as ordinary people, we should at least understand this. The other side of smoothness may be that you give up the chance to stop and think. If paying in full is like a crisp payment notification, then monthly payments are like background music, quiet, but always playing. What truly determines your financial state is often not one large purchase, but these long-term, automatic, low-perception, small commitments. Remember this. Don't just look at how low the monthly payment is. Look at how long it locks up your future. Monthly payments don't make expensive things cheaper. They make expensive things look inexpensive. If you understand this, you won't be so easily led by the phrase, "only per month." If you want to keep breaking down these money-making machines hidden in everyday life, give this a follow. In the next episode, we'll continue peeling back the layers of seemingly ordinary consumer design.